all love to see our taxpayer dollars spent in a wiser way, whether Joe Biden.
Welcome to the Republican Party, because that's what we're doing. But there is a difference between soft power and soft stupidity. So whether you're funding the message is we want the best competent people, period.
Because he's so powerful. And he has leverage over this president because he spent $250 million to get him elected.
Look, the president was elected. He runs the government. Elon Musk is an agent of the executive branch. So you seem to be extraordinarily worked up about what amounted to 12 hours of conversations with.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. The 2024 breakout star of the year, Mr. Scott Jennings, is back at it again. Now, the timestamps, as usual, are in the video. There's a few longer clips here for you today. The first one is of a whole panel fussing at Scott Jennings because they can't accept the fact that Trump pulled a rabbit out of the hat, extracting concessions and urgency from Mexico and Canada to stop the illegal immigration and fentanyl from coming into the country and getting what he wants. Let's get to the clip.
He's either gotten more in the past or it was already announced in the past.
I disagree. First of all, I think the reason he did this is one simple phrase: behavior modification. He's trying to modify the behavior of our neighbors, and he's already having some success with these strategies. If you look at what he did with Colombia, if you look at what the news was over
Nothing happened with Colombia
they
either.
took the people.
Mexico,
If you look,
They were taking deportation flights.
I love this show.
No.
This is my favorite show. It's
Because
called,
you're lying.
Let's all scream at Scott.
It's called informing our audience.
Hold on.
Colombia was already taking deportation flights.
No, I'm not. I'm wrapping it all together. It's all part of the same thing.
Let's go back to what Trump got for threatening a 25% tariff on Mexico and Canada. What did he get?
On Mexico, he got a permanent set of troops, not temporary, just during surges. He got permanent troops. And on Canada, let me tell you what he got. Let me tell you what he got.
You cannot just, hold up, you can't just like insert your own qualifications into this. Where does it say that it's permanent?
The White House told me tonight that the commitment they have from Mexico is that they will put
Do you know how many troops Mexico?
You didn't let us finish on Canada, by the way, because he did get new things on Canada, which I'm sure you know. And I'm just going to read you Justin Trudeau's own statement. Canada is making new, and if I'll define it for you, that means not previously existing, commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar, list cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a joint task force to make money laundering and organized crime.
Richard, I'm going to let you in here. But
this is all new. It's all new.
Hold on.
Can I say something before we go to commercial?
Richard, just give me 1 second. 1 second. We got to make sure that this is clear because you just put fentanyl on the table, figuratively.
Yeah.
They're 43 pounds.
Thank God it's not literal, because it'll kill you.
43 pounds of fentanyl.
I wouldn't recommend ingesting
from
it.
Canada, from the northern border, okay? That's not 4,300, not 43,000, 43. Richard.
Okay, so he got this, knew this, and knew that, and there's
Yes.
But was it worth pissing off and offending Canada, which is one of your closest allies? Was it worth all the angst, the drama, the raw emotion when you could have had it with a negotiation?
I'm sorry.
Richard, so you seem to be extraordinarily worked up about what amounted to 12 hours of conversations between our governments. And the net result of it was everybody who didn't want tariffs should be, like you, should be happy. Everybody who wants less immigration should be happy. And everybody who wants less fentanyl, we should all be saying it's a
We are back at the status
This is going to come
quo.
back to bite in a way. First of all, Colombia. Second of all, Mexico. Third of all, Canada. Then you've got the European Union. All these allies are going to remember that they were bullied at the edge of
No, they're going to remember that the United States is the dominant nation.
No.
Oh!
They're going to remember that Trump just wants
And we have a president. And now we have a president.
People who are buying goods every day, those are the people who are caught in this chaos. It's not a game of chicken.
No tariffs were levied.
But
none were levied.
Okay.
But it's the uncertainty and the chaos.
First of all,
It's one
Trump is now threatening to tariff.
But
why would anybody?
We have a deal.
We have a 30-day deal for nothing.
You guys
30
write
days.
your talking points 12 hours ago. It's 10 o'clock. Look what happened in the interim
you asked the
period.
question.
We
What
have an
happened?
agreement.
You made the point.
Nothing.
The three people got together and said, you know what,
We will
Trump
do
is right and
exactly
we'll
what
help
we-
you.
And you
No,
know
You
what?
and
they
I will
said
have
we
to
will
agree to
do
disagree
exactly-
about that.
I'm
Taxing
still
our
in
people.
shock that you actually said that the border crossings went down under Biden.
They
because
did
did
go down under Biden.
Yeah,
You know
let's be
why?
honest.
You know why they went
This is
down?
like so disingenuous.
Scott, do you accept that tariffs are inflationary?
I accept that tariffs are taxes. And I accept that I accept that some prices could go up, and Bakar, you're right. Donald Trump said that you may feel some pain, but let me tell you why he said it. Because fentanyl is a scourge on this country.
Unquestionably.
Illegal immigration and the violence that's come with it is a scourge on this country, and we have a moral obligation.
Okay, but let us be
moral obligation.
Let us be also honest.
Scott Jennings deserves some kind of award for subjecting himself to this panel of low IQ Democrats. I don't think he's long for CNN, to be honest with you. I think when his contract's up, whenever that is, unless they're paying him a bunch of money. If they're paying him a bunch of money, I love seeing him school this panel. I'm here for it. At this point, he's the only reason why anybody should watch CNN. Let's get to the next clip where they talk about USAID getting dismantled and how much power Elon Musk actually has. Let's get it.
Congresswoman, you have the power. You have the power.
We budget
to
for agencies.
Budget.
Yes.
You have the power to spend, to take away money. You have the power to structure agencies. You have the power to create, destroy agencies. You can actually do all of those things from Congress.
Yes, and if I could answer that question, what I would say is we do the budget. We allocate funding for specific agencies, for specific purposes. It is when we see these federal bureaucrats spending this money and making decisions on grants and loans and making decisions that are not within what we anticipate or was intended for. And that is why I thought it was appropriate for President Trump to pause some of these grants that were going out, because they were going out for some ridiculous things. In Congress, by the way, Elon Musk's role is an advisory role.
Correct.
Let's be clear about that. He is not going to be slashing. We're going to be making that final determination as members of Congress.
I should also just say, Elon doesn't think that that's the case, because he's been saying pretty point blank, this is going away. We've gotten rid of this. We've gotten rid of that. And the money has stopped flowing.
Respectfully, Congresswoman, it was his aides who sent notices today to USAID saying, don't come to work. Mm-hmm. And I hear your point about cutting spending and everything. And look, I'm not going to die on a hill that says that these agencies don't have some frivolous spending that we need to rein in. But the fact is, do you know, sitting here today, that Elon Musk and his aides do not have access to my Social Security number? You don't know that. And that is troublesome, because as a member of Congress, you should know that. But what we do know is he went into Treasury. He locked people out. He fired individuals. And now Elon Musk and his aides, and this is not a partisan attack by any stretch. This is, look, I deserve to know where my information is and why someone who is unelected, we don't even know what his job title is.
So why is it, that lends an important question. Why is it, Scott, that Elon Musk claims that it is a crime to tweet out the names of the 6 individuals who I have to assume are government employees, maybe they're not, who are going around and carrying out his orders and telling people, for example, to not come into work at an entire federal agency, who are going into the Treasury asking for access to a sensitive payment system? How is it a crime to know who those people are?
I don't know if it's a crime or not. I think it's certainly untoward to try to because you're trying to sick an angry mob on people who are showing up to try to
first of all,
act on behalf of the President of the United States.
First of all, this is his platform, okay? If his own platform is an angry mob, that's one thing. But he also does this all the time. And these are people who are doing things that affect Americans. They're working in the government.
Well,
I don't see why it needs to be a secret.
They're doing things that affect the bureaucracy, which is why you see all the rage today.
You don't think that this stuff affects Americans, Scott?
I mean, yeah, probably in a positive way. And I'm glad to see Democrats are coming around to the idea that the unelected people who might be involved in the running of our country are important, because you seem to have no interest in that for the last 4 years under the last administration. Here's the bottom line. You know what that means is that you had a president who was not functional, and you know it.
We're talking about Biden. Okay.
So actually, by that same token, I mean, if you're concerned about the people around Joe Biden running the government, why aren't you concerned about?
Because I don't have any concern that this president is functional. He's a functional president, and Musk is an agent of the president.
Why are you not concerned that Elon Musk is, according to a lot of reports, someone that no one around the president wants to even cross, because he's so powerful, and he has leverage over this president because he spent $250 million to get him elected?
Look, the president was elected. He runs the government. Elon Musk is an agent of the executive branch at the direction of the president. And as the president said today, he's not doing anything that he doesn't have permission to do. And I will just remind you all, one of the things he was elected to do is to shake up Washington, stop doing business as usual, and rein in an out-of-control bureaucracy that, as the Congresswoman correctly pointed out, is spending money in ways that was never intended.
Guys, sorry to pause it right here, right in the middle of the video, but if you don't mind just smashing that thumbs up button for your boy, that goes a long way to help me out. And also, if you're not yet subscribed and this is not your first time here, hopefully this could be the video, which I can earn your subscription. Let's get back to it.
3 of your colleagues in the Senate, Senator Bill Cassidy, Jerry Moran, and Tom Tillis, they've raised some red flags over what's happening at USAID. Cassidy wants to know why clinics in Africa are not getting the drugs that USAID provides. Jerry Moran is wondering why there's American food rotting in ports of entry. And Tom Tillis says, if you just shut down every program in there, I think it's a mistake and it will have policy and political consequences. But that's exactly what Elon Musk did. He shut USAID down.
Well, first of all, going back to the transparency, you have not had a more transparent president than President Donald Trump. Every executive order, every conversation he has with a world leader, there is a printout, it is on social media, and we are learning what's going on in real time.
When did he say that he's shutting down USAID, and tell us why he's doing it?
Well, first of all, USAID, and I sat on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and I've tried to expose this as a member on those committee hearings. I mean, we cannot get any accountability from this agency. We can't get any metrics from this agency. This is a real bureaucratic mess, the USAID. The money's being spent and shoveled to countries all over the world, countries that hate us, for programs that, I mean, you have countries where people are starving, and they're focusing on, DEI and transgender programming. It's ridiculous. I mean, eventually it becomes, but this is the facts. These are programs. This is actually where money is going to.
What I'm saying, first of all,
but
I'm not denying. Listen, I don't know what specifically you're talking about, but I do know that there's a lot of money that does not go to any of those things. One of the programs Cassidy's talking about is PEPFAR. That is a Republican program.
Yeah,
that is a Republican
program. You found one good program.
Famine-stricken Sudan.
Here's the real point here. Congresswoman, you are elected to legislate.
Yes.
If you want to change where the money goes at PEPFAR, you have the power to do that. Why not do that in a transparent way so that the American people can see?
And that is what we are doing right now. That is exactly what we're doing. We're trying to put a pause on this funding going out the door so we can see exactly what it's being used for, because our intention when we appropriated this money is not being spent that way. And what I will say is you have these bureaucrats sitting at these agencies. They come before Congress. We have hearings. We try to get to the bottom of where this money is going. $50 million for condoms in Gaza, for example.
Congresswoman.
No, but these are real things.
No.
You guys are rolling your eyes like as if these are not actual line items. These are actual line items.
We know that there was not $50 million spent for condoms in Gaza.
Okay.
There was $0 spent on condoms in the Middle East. That is a complete falsehood and a lie.
So the White House put that out there as a
I'm not going to blame you for it. I'm going to blame.
Wasn't Gaza in the
I'm going to
Middle
blame the White House. I'm going to blame the president.
Where did it go?
Congresswoman, I'm going to blame the president who upped the dollar amount to $100 million. It is false. Okay?
Well, it's $50 million as far as I know.
It is false. There is zero. The answer is zero.
How is
There's
it?
none. So you cannot use that as an example.
Yeah, more and more Americans just learned this week what kind of bullshit, excuse my language here, but bullshit their tax dollars are being spent on. This is why people like Musk are there. Trump is completely routing the deep state, cleaning house, and these people are afraid. And this is why the mainstream media keeps gaslighting as hard as it does. The spin that they've put on this is incredible. Let's get to the next clip. Yep.
I mean, my problem is this, and this is one of the things that my good friend, who I actually love her writing. I'm gonna buy the book for Scott, but Nicole Hannah-Jones. She talked about the fact that Donald Trump is not pushing an economic agenda; instead, he's pushing a racial one. And it's very difficult sometimes when you get caught in the kind of sensationalism of this anti-DEI rhetoric, or the fact that you are eliminating Black History Month, or these things in the separate departments. And one of the things Democrats have to do is do a better job of kind of sifting through all of this nonsense and loud racist rhetoric that comes like a bullhorn from this White House, with this example in particular, and talk about the issues that matter. This guy right here is despicable. And the fact that he is despicable, and he is a racist, and he gets to have a seat this close to Marco Rubio, says a great deal about Marco Rubio, and it says a great deal about the President of the United States.
Should the President, Congresswoman, rethink this appointment?
Look, I don't know who this guy is, quite frankly. You had me. What I'll say is, I defended Elon Musk tonight. I defended the Trump tariffs. I thought it was a good thing. It's getting our border secured, getting the job done. I don't know who this guy is, and certainly what you put up there and what he said, I think, is inappropriate and disrespectful, and maybe he should be reconsidering that. But look, I think we need to be cautious, the people that we put into these positions of influence and power, and we need to make sure that they are going to be respectful of our nation's values. And it just seems to me that I don't know where this guy came from, quite frankly, so I'm not going to stand here and defend him.
So it's interesting.
Fair.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and you certainly do not have to. I don't know where this guy came from either, but Vivek Ramaswamy had this to say about him.
I would describe him as filling a vacuum in the MAGA movement that I think needs to be filled, which is an intellectual beacon. MAGA movement has been a great populist movement across this country, but one of the things that I think we need in order to take this movement to the next level is an intellectual foundation of who we are and what we stand for.
Yeah.
And I don't even, I mean, maybe, let's posit he didn't know about the racist tweets. The ADL put out a statement back in 2020 condemning him back then. So how is this person who would say that black people need to know their place in society an intellectual of any kind? It's bizarre.
Yeah, I'm like the Congresswoman, I don't have any familiarity with him. However, what I would say is, based on what you read tonight, one of the things about the Trump coalition is that it is seeking to stop dividing Americans by race and start uniting Americans by our unique American values. Some of these things, I think, are divisive by race, which is something we criticize Democrats for, trying to divide us by race. This idea of competent white men, the message is we want the best competent people, period. And this idea of kneeling before a political entity, the only person you should kneel before is God. And so I think some of these people are provocateurs, and I think they say things for their own personal reasons. I think if you're Trump, the question is my movement about a continuation of division along racial lines, or a continuation of the unification? Because he did better with minority voters than any Republican in a half a century.
There's one quick point that I want to make before we wrap, and this would be really quick. One of the people that he said needed to kneel was actually a Republican intellectual. Her name was Kay Cole James. We are 180 degrees different on public policy and politics, but a 70-year-old black woman doesn't need to be told by anyone that she needs to be kneeling to anything.
That is exactly right, everyone.
This Republican Party is the rule of law party. Mm-hmm. There are ways to address this. There are ways to zero out funding. There are ways to review things or change it legislatively. This is not that way. What's the rationale here?
Well, it is an entity that exists within the executive branch. That's number one. And it has often been at odds with the U.S. State Department. And that's not a good thing. As Marco Rubio said today, everything USAID does, or the bureaucracy does, needs to be aligned with the foreign policy goals of the United States. And so putting Rubio in charge of USAID today helps begin to achieve that alignment. I'm actually a supporter of American soft power. That's what we call it, soft power. I believe it's good. I believe it's often been used as a tool to help the United States combat influence from China and other adversaries around the world. But there is a difference between soft power and soft stupidity. So whether you're funding whether you're funding like DEI musicals in some country or transgender surgery somewhere or whatever, that is not what most Americans.
Not what is happening.
That is not what most Americans would say is an effective tool of U.S. foreign policy.
On everything that
I'm not. I have a whole list right here. I mean, if you want me to forward it to you, I will. But the reality is, we have lots of money going to projects that don't do anything for the United States.
Cut those projects. Many governments do that. But why
Welcome to the Republican Party. That's what we're doing.
Why are you trying? Why are you locking people out of their office? Why are you trying to tell people to stop working?
Because the bureaucracy is non-responsive.
Without the accountability
because the bureaucracy is non-responsive.
Congress,
Can I just add one thing?
Ashley, go ahead.
It's hard to believe that someone that added $8 trillion to the U.S. deficit is really even serious about cutting costs. So I don't buy this argument that this is an effort to cut costs and make sure that there's not any government waste.
It's an effort to cut stupidity. These programs, and I could read out the whole list. If you'll give me 60 seconds, I'll read the whole thing. But there is a difference between smart soft power and dumb spending by left-wing ideologues who inhabit this bureaucracy.
This is the president's efforts to undermine government one agency at a time. He's signing an executive order to get rid of the Department of Education, probably as we speak. That's what this is all about. It's an effort to undermine our government one agency at a time.
Who's running the government? I mean, I know you know how this works, but the president's in charge.
Your president is.
You can't undermine your own government. He's in charge of the bureaucracy, and all they're asking for, Phil and everybody else, is for the money that we spend around the world to be aligned with U.S. foreign policy interests. They have put out a long list of programs that have nothing to do with our interests. Why can't we go in and root that out and redirect the money coming from the Secretary of State to the things that matter the most? That's it. That's all they want.
Scott. Bakari Sellers is a race-baiting grifter. Scott said, yeah, we shouldn't be talking about race or gender because we're trying to get out of this gender ideology stuff that the left has put us in. No one in the world should get an opportunity or lose an opportunity if they're qualified enough for a job based on something they can't control, like the color of their skin or their gender. But yet, Bakari Sellers, a black woman, should never be told to kneel down. Look, you shouldn't tell anybody to kneel down. Black, white, man, woman, child, doesn't matter. Stop making everything about race. You race hustling creep shows. Scott Jennings has the patience of the Dalai Lama. Trump ran on all these policies, and now the left is shocked that he's implementing them. The guy's done more in 2 weeks than Joe Biden did in 4 years. Safer borders, better economy, and lower inflation. You know how you lower inflation? You stop the nonsensical government spending. You have to really lower government spending in order to do that. And this is how we're doing it. We're finding out that billions and billions of dollars have been just wasted. Ilhan Omar coming out. So it's only 1 or 2% of the budget. It's billions of taxpayer dollars going to stuff like funding trans comic books in Colombia. What the hell we need that for? This is nonsense. These people are nonsense. God bless Scott Jennings, keeping this whole network alive for any Republican or conservative watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that thumbs up button for your boy. Consider subscribing to the channel. Help it grow. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.